Okay guys, this estate sale might be a pretty crazy one. There's a ton of vintage clothing inside. I got here 3 hours before the the start time, and I'm still number 16 on the list. So I'm guessing the other 15 people in front of me are also here for vintage clothing, but there also looks like a bunch more stuff. It almost looks like a hoarder house, so hopefully we'll end up with some good stuff. Let's see what we get. So here we are at today's estate sale. Now, unfortunately, when they opened the doors, they only let 10 people in at a time, so I was not in the first wave of people to get inside here. And as you can see, a lot of the clothing and stuff has already been rummaged through. Pretty much everybody before me was there for clothing, so I didn't end up getting that much of that. However, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, I still ended up doing very, very well inside this house on non-clothing pieces. But before I show you exactly what I found, I just want to take a second and show you this basement right here. Look at all of this stuff that was packed into this place. It was literally piled from floor to ceiling in some spots. It was absolutely wild to dig through. I just couldn't believe the amount of stuff down here. It's pretty cool. Knight Rider pinball machine. It's $1,200 on that. There's another pinball machine, Captain Fantastic. That one's cool too. Another $1,200. There's so much shit down here. This is wild. Now, I'm going to have to be careful with the clips that I show you here, because as I moved throughout this house, it became very apparent that they were big fans of adult explicit content. There was a ton of it everywhere I looked, so I'm going to have to condense things down pretty significantly here. So some of the first things that ended up catching my eyes were the toys, and there were a bunch of them throughout the house. There were some here in the living room, there were a couple boxes out in the garage, there was a whole corner of them down in the basement, and I actually even found some stash behind these boxes right here. Nice little mad ball. It's crunchy, but it's there. And in the end, I found some pretty good stuff throughout these different boxes. A lot of the stuff I was coming across was broken or missing parts and pieces, but there was still a lot there that was totally worth buying, and I'll show you everything that I picked up at the end of this video. Now, the other stuff in this house that caught my eye was the photography equipment. I actually ended up digging out this entire box full of old Polaroid film right here. All of that can be sold, and there was actually a couple different Polaroid cameras that I found throughout the house as well. Nice. That's a good one. And at this point, I was really happy as to how this pick was going. You know, I got some vintage camera gear, I got some vintage toys, both things that I really like to sell. But my best find of this entire sale was actually the very last thing that I picked up. I found it while I was in line to check out. It was sitting next to the cashier, and that was this Bolex camera right here. It was priced at 45 bucks, and let's just say this thing was a grand slam. Okay guys, that turned out to be a pretty solid stop right there, like I was hoping. Unfortunately, I didn't get the vintage clothing that I came for, but I did still walk out with a ton of really awesome stuff here. I got a bunch of vintage toys, and I think the best find is this Bolex camera right here. I'll show you more about that when I get home, but I looked it up, and it looks like that is going to be an absolutely insane score, so I am excited to do more research on that. But before I show you more about that and run through everything else that I ended up picking up at the estate sale, it's some pretty good stuff. I want to take a second to thank today's video sponsor, eBay, who asked me to tell you about their upcoming event. eBay's biggest seller event, eBay Open, is back, and you are invited. Come connect with over 10,000 of your fellow sellers in this 2-day virtual event featuring things like keynote speakers, online training sessions, category-specific breakouts, and seller labs. And personally, I'm looking forward to those seller labs this year because the lineup of speakers looks fantastic. And look, this is an annual event that eBay holds every single year, and it's not only something that I attend, I was actually a guest speaker at last year's eBay Open, so I can confidently tell you that no matter what level seller you are, you will gain some valuable information from this event. And the best part is, it's free to attend. It's happening on the 25th and 26th of September, and all you have to do to sign up for it is to follow the link down in the description of this video. Seriously, go sign up, take a look at the schedule, and find a few things that pique your interest. I promise you will not regret it. So I hope to see you guys all out there. Thank you to eBay for sponsoring this video. Now, let's hop back into it. Alright guys, so I am back home now, and I'm going to take you through everything that I ended up picking up at that estate sale. Hopefully you were able to at least see a bit of the sale inside. It was really dark in there, so I'm not sure how the GoPro footage is going to turn out, but I did take some extra clips with my camera, and I'm going to have to probably cut out a lot of the stuff in there because there was some very explicit adult content throughout that house. Now, like I said, the original reason I came to this specific estate sale was to try and get my hands on some of the vintage clothing that was in the pictures. There was hundreds of t-shirts pictured like stacks against the wall, and unfortunately I was number 16 when I got there in line, and they only let the initial 10 people inside, so they ended up getting most of them. However, I was able to get my hands on a few pieces like this Chicago Bear piece right here. It's a Logo 7, so it's vintage. That's probably late 80s, early 90s. Then we had a little Mickey Mouse piece. This one's actually double-sided, so it has Mickey on the front and then his backside on the back. Next was just this cool little volleyball t-shirt. I just really like the graphic on this one. It says get up and get down, beach passport right there. Next was this little Corvette tee. It's got nice graphics on it. It does have some standing and stuff I'm gonna have to get out, but that's not too big of a deal. And then the final two were two Bugle Boy t-shirts, and I just really liked the graphics on these ones. Nice bright colors, and they just give that like 80s, 90s feel to them. So not too bad. I got a few pieces. And even though I didn't quite get the vintage clothing haul that I was hoping for, I more than made up for that in other categories that I wasn't expecting, like vintage toys. So first off here, let's start with some of the action figures. The first one here, if this will focus. There we go. This is a Micronauts figure. I don't find Micronauts super often, so that's kind of cool to see. Then we had Mr. John Blackstar without his arms, unfortunately, but hey, it's still a Blackstar figure. And then finally over here we had a couple of G.I. Joes. You can see in the middle there is Xander. I believe this one on the left is one of the twins, like Tommy or something like that. And then I think this one over here on the right is Falcon, but I'm not 100% sure on their names. Either way, it's always nice to find a few Joes. And while yes, it always is nice to find Joes, it's also really nice when you find stuff that you don't see very often, like these next two right here. Actually, I don't even know the last time I picked up one of these. And that is these two guys right here. They are a couple of Madballs. So this one is an official Madball. This is Crackhead. You can see he's not in the best condition, definitely a little crunchy there, but still super cool to see. I just never come across Madball stuff, and I know it's super hot right now. And then there was this guy right here. Now obviously this isn't an original Madball, it's a football. It's kind of like this plastic material, so obviously it's a knockoff, but some of these knockoffs still do very, very well. And I've seen quite a few different knockoffs of the Madball line, but I've never seen this guy before. So what I ended up doing was taking a picture of him and sending it over to my boy Froggy Flips. And he quickly got back to me letting me know they were actually a knockoff line, and they were called Ugly Funny Footballs, I believe is what the name is. He actually has all three of the set in his personal collection, so that was super helpful information. Thanks, Froggy, you're the man. Anyways, moving on, we got Optimus Prime G1 trailer. This is unfortunately missing the semi-truck part of the Transformer, but still the trailer goes for some decent value by itself. Followed by this dude, who is another figure. I have no idea who he's from. He just had like those tube-like arms. I'm guessing he's probably, I would guess probably late 80s just based on the plastic quality. But if you know who he is, let me know down in the comments. And then moving on over here, we got a couple of mounts. First, we got Stridor from Masters of the Universe. And then this guy looks like Masters of the Universe, I know, but I believe he's actually from another line called Star Ears. And then actually, speaking of more obscure lines, these are both from Imperial. We got this dragon right here. You can see he's got the saddle on him, and then a rhino also with the saddle. I'm not exactly sure what line that is, but I know I've sold the dragon before, and I think he went for like 30-40 bucks. And the last toy that I want to show you is just something a little fun. It's called Pac-Man Panic. You can see it's Pac-Man in this little ball, and the goal is to kind of flip the balls up and try to get them into his mouth. Nothing too crazy there, but I just thought it was super cool. Anything Pac-Man related, I'm definitely grabbing. Now obviously, anytime I can go to a sale and I find vintage toys, I'm a happy camper. Like, they are some of my favorite things to buy and sell. However, at this sale, it got even better because the camera gear that I ended up finding was absolutely nuts. Specifically, this guy over here is absolutely insane, but I'll hold off on that for just a second because I gotta show you what's in this box, and there's still some really good stuff in here. And actually, there's one non-camera related item in this box, this speaker right here. It's by a brand called Cavalier, and it was worth like 60 bucks when I looked it up, so obviously I grabbed it. And then the rest of the stuff in here is all camera related. It's actually all Polaroid brands, and there are two cameras. The first one right here is this Polaroid Job Pro 2. You can see it's new in the box, which is kind of crazy. You never see Polaroids really new still in the box, so that is awesome. And then the second camera here is one that I've talked about quite a bit on this channel. Let me pop it open for you real fast. There we go. This is such a good looking Polaroid camera. I absolutely love how this thing looks. It's the SX70 for those of you who are wondering. It's one I always keep an eye out for. Now normally you'll find them with a leather case around them, like a leather carrying case, and if it has that case they sell for around $150, but even in this condition with some scratches up top, assuming it works when I test it out, I still think that I'll get over $100 for this. So obviously I was stoked to see that sitting there. That's such a great find. And then the rest of the stuff inside this box right here is all new old stock Polaroid film. It's all expired, but some of the expired stuff still sells very, very well. So I figured I'd go ahead and grab it. And I'm guessing each one of these will sell for at least 15 bucks a pop. Okay, now let's hop into the big find of this sale. This thing was absolutely mind-blowing. It's probably the reason that you clicked on this video. I cannot believe this thing was sitting there. When I looked up the value, I was blown away to be able to get this for 45 bucks. And here it is, the Bolex H16 reflex camera, and as you can see, it came with a bunch of accessories, a few different lenses, the manual, and it actually has 3 additional lenses still attached to the front of the camera right there. Now, the value, what you guys are all probably really wondering about. So the value is a little complicated on this because it all comes down to what model of H16 reflex this is. I believe this is the second to last version that was ever made, so it is a more valuable model. So for my specific camera right here, I believe the body alone is going to be worth over $1,000, probably closer to $1,500 for just the body. And then on top of that, like I pointed out, we got 1, 2, 3 different lenses right here, as well as 3 different lenses over here on the side. And each one of those lenses is worth over $200 a piece. I think one of them was even worth over $400. I'll pop up comps for all of them up there, but just the lenses alone add a ton of value. And then lastly were all of the other little random accessories, the bits and bobs that were in the bottom of that bag. Each one of those also adds value to this lot, which is crazy to think about. Like, we're talking about multiple thousands of dollars worth of parts here if I decide to piece everything out. But this is where the dilemma comes in. Do I sell everything individually, like I just mentioned, you know, the lenses separately, the body separately, all that stuff, or do I lot everything together and sell it as one big group? Originally, I was leaning towards selling everything individually, but I was able to find one comp that is very similar to this entire lot right here. It has the same version of the camera that I have. It has 5 different lenses. It has similar accessories to mine, and that one sold for over $4,000 for everything, which is wild to think about. Like, a $45 investment into potentially over $4,000. What a crazy, crazy find. Like, I am blown away that this was just sitting there, and it wasn't even one of the first things I grabbed. Like, this was one of those things on the shelf while I was checking out that I like put in my pile. So it's just a very, very crazy score. It's one of the best finds I've had in a long time. But what would you do? Would you sell everything individually to try to get as much out of each individual piece as you can, or would you just lot everything up together and hope that someone buys it all out for one bulk price? I'm not really sure what I'm going to do at this point. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments. Anyways, I mean, what a crazy estate sale. Like, I went there for vintage clothing and I ended up leaving with a camera worth potentially $4,000. I don't even know what else to say at this point. So I think I'll end things here. I will definitely keep you guys updated on this as it moves forward. Whenever this thing ends up selling, it could take a while to sell, but once it finally does, I will for sure make an update video or include it in another video. So if you want to see an update on this, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you did enjoy this video, please go down low, smash the like button for me. Otherwise, that's going to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, keep on treasure hunting. Peace.